Well, good morning. Welcome to the city of Loveland. We are thrilled to be here today to be speaking to you on the ACE project that has now progressed from the site selection process to the negotiation phase. We are very pleased and excited that the former Hewlett-Packard Agilent site in Loveland has emerged from the Colorado Association of Manufacturing and Technology's site selection process as the candidate for the aerospace clean energy project. And now we are going to be headed next into the negotiations process. So it is only the existing building sites that we are going to be speaking about here and that we'll be negotiating with the Colorado Association of Manufacturing and Technology. But this is an incredible potential for Loveland and all of northern Colorado, as several thousand jobs are expected from the aerospace clean energy project. I want to make sure that everybody understands that this is a long-term project, that we're not all of a sudden going to have several thousand jobs overnight in our community, but we'll develop very much like the original Hewlett-Packard project developed in our community over time. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to our city manager, who has some additional information about the ACE project. But again, thank you all very much for coming here this morning.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm Bill Cahill, City Manager for Loveland. We will reassort all these microphones here and get them migrated. We're simply going to open this morning with fairly brief remarks about the project and then allow people to ask questions for the bulk of this event this morning. But as the Mayor has said, we are excited and as pleased as can be to have been selected as the candidate site to move forward from the original site screening phase that the Colorado Association for Manufacturing and Technology has operated and moving forward into the negotiation phase. We get asked sometimes, particularly in the last 24 hours, is this a done deal with the air quotation marks around it? You know, nothing that is real estate oriented like this is ever really done until it is complete, the papers are signed, the money has been paid. But we're very grateful to have been selected by CAMT as the community with the site to move forward through negotiations and then into fruition for the project. The city and CAMT are going to be starting negotiations now in the next phase of the project to sort out the business transaction for this particular project for the ACE campus. We think that the negotiations are going to be completed within about a 90-day period, but we can't really forecast that exactly because, as with all negotiations, they're complete when you get to the agreement. So we won't be forecasting the exact time frame or the detailed result of the negotiation. It's going to be a very dynamic process. We expect that we will not be making detailed periodic reports of the negotiations as they proceed, but there will be reports on a lot of other aspects of the project as it goes forward. And I think in particular, CAMT itself in Denver will be able to issue lots more information about the nature of the project and what's expected from the ACE project in the future. We've got an enormous amount of work to do. We know that in getting to this stage, it is not the end of the race. It is the beginning of years' worth of work on this project for the benefit of the community and the region. We've been working with CAMT. Of course, we have been working with Agilent on the negotiations to purchase the property that can now be repurposed and put back into a productive economic use. We're finishing putting that particular property under purchase agreement for its acquisition by the city. And our work then will still have only just begun. This will be a very long-term project. On the property purchase, we think that we're nearing completion of the terms of the purchase agreement with Agilent. We expect to continue that, to be able to secure the property before the end of June for the project, provided that we don't run into any red flags. We are engaged in a due diligence process. The property is being very thoroughly inspected and assessed to make sure that it's in acceptable condition to carry out the ACE project. We would be remiss if we didn't express our appreciation to the community as a whole for its tremendous outpouring of support for the ACE project. There's no other community that did so much to show its desire to accommodate a new high-technology-driven manufacturing campus. We have had literally thousands and thousands of people from within Loveland contribute to the effort by writing postcards, writing letters, sending emails, doing all kinds of things that I think showed the people at the Colorado Association for Manufacturing and Technology that Loveland still has that same spirit that it did in 1960 when Hewlett-Packard was first attracted to the community 50 years ago. And as the mayor said, the ACE project holds incredible potential for the economic future, but it's a long-term future. We're not going to have thousands of jobs materializing on our doorstep tomorrow. This will be a very long-term development that will continue to generate new jobs for many years to come, but it is a gradual build-up, and it's one that allows the community time to adjust, make any necessary mid-course corrections, and progress in a very orderly way. So this is not a tsunami, it's not a tidal wave. It is a gradual and steady flow of new employment for the economy of the region for a long time to come. We have displays here. I'm going to ask our business development manager, Betsy Hale, to talk about what is on the display boards to help those in the room understand what they are seeing.
Okay, we have to relocate everything over here.
While we are relocating everything here, the city manager mentioned there were a lot of people to thank, and he is. This has been a real community collaboration. But I did want to tell you all that there are some of our counselors here in our midst this morning who also had the courage to step forward to make this project work. And I'd like to mention them here in the audience this morning. I see in our audience Hugh McKean, Kent Solt, Daryl Klassen, Joan Schaefer, and Kathleen McEwen. And I also wanted to recognize my predecessor, former Mayor Gene Peelan, because a project like this doesn't happen just by one council, but as a build-up over a period of time. The building blocks have been in place. So plenty of credit to go around, and it's wanted to make sure that we recognize those folks, the leadership of the community as well.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm not sure the mayor introduced himself, but Cecil Gutierrez is our mayor. And we want to thank all of you for coming today. One of the first things we wanted to do is, especially for the media, we prepared a press kit. Within that, we really felt it was important in our partnership with the Colorado Association for Manufacturing and Technology and CAMT. And for those of you in the media, they prefer to be called CAMT. Although their own chair calls them CAMT. But we do want to make sure that you're using the right acronym, and also it is the Colorado Association for Manufacturing and Technology. A lot of people use OV instead. So again, want to help you with that. There is a FAQ sheet that has been updated. It had been posted on our website. It has been taken down. It has been updated to bring us up to date as to where we are at in the process. The most important thing, I think, is that people should realize this has been worked on for several years by CAMT and NASA. In December, they signed the Space Act Agreement. The effect of that, or the impact of the Space Act Agreement, is included in this document. In addition to that, there's information related to CAMT and what they bring to the Regional Innovation Cluster. There's a much bigger concept than just a campus. There's also information related to what NASA brings to the project. And in addition to that, there's some brief information about the city and our role in the establishment of the ACE Park. There's also some additional details about what the Technology Acceleration Program means for Colorado companies and how companies can get involved. So we really wanted to bring you up to speed on how this has all transpired and what CAMT is really looking at developing here in Colorado, not just in Loveland, if the successful negotiations occur, but throughout Colorado and in many different areas. We also put in a little background sheet with some key facts about the real estate itself, as well as a map or an aerial that is the same poster that you have over here. One of the things that we want to point out is Building E is also on this aerial. Building E is the current home of Agilent Technologies. They have about 350 employees located there. By our estimation, and by their estimation as well, they intend to stay there for a very, very, very long time. We're very excited about that possibility of having a company, a global leader in testing and measurement systems located on the Agilent on the ACE Park campus. So just want to point that out, that 25 acres in Building E, and that is shown on this poster right here, will not be a part of the ACE campus, but it will be within the ACE campus. So as you can imagine, we have had many, many, many people calling and sending their resumes to me, asking me how to get a job. So in your document as well, if you're an individual or you know an individual that is looking for a job and would like to submit their resume to potential tenants and also the Colorado Association for Manufacturing and Technology, we have established a partnership with the Larimer County Workforce Center. In your packet, I've provided the email address, businessservices@larimer.org, where individuals seeking to submit the resumes can submit them. If they have questions, they can contact Kathy Dotson, who is the Business Development Manager for the Larimer County Workforce Center, and she'll be happy to help facilitate that process. Want to reiterate, though, that submittal of your resume is not a guarantee of any kind of an interview or a job. It is merely a guarantee that we will put you into the collective database, and we will share that information with CAMT and their tenant companies. In addition, we've also had numerous calls, maybe hundreds of calls from businesses and small businesses that are looking to provide products and services to the potential tenants of this campus. We have established a partnership with the Northern Colorado Economic Development Corporation to gather that information, and Diana McKinney is your point person there. Diana has asked that information be faxed as opposed to sent electronically. However, if someone would like to send a PDF, they prefer to have a one-page summary document with the company's name and contact information and their lead in that organization, as well as a brief description of the products and services that might be available. We would encourage very much companies within Loveland, existing small manufacturing companies, machine, tool, die, sheet metal cutting. We would encourage companies of every type to take advantage of this resource, as we are trying to develop a database that is accurate and complete of all of these shared services and resources that might be available to these potential tenant companies. In addition to that is my information. Should an individual or an organization or a company be interested in learning more about relocating to Loveland, my information is there as well. And again, I'm Betsy Hale, Business Development Manager for the city. I did also want to thank here the Northern Colorado Economic Development Corporation and the Loveland Chamber of Commerce for their outstanding efforts on developing a community fund for assistance to potential tenants, but also to CAMT. Brian Wilms is the president and CEO of the Loveland Chamber, and he has been working with Don Churchwell and the staff at NCDC. I understand there potentially could be several $100,000 in that fund. Is that correct, Brian? If you have any questions about that, I think it's very important that you direct those questions to Brian, and I'm sure he can give you the contact information. But the establishment of a fund like that to assist this project is a real sign that the community of Loveland, all 65,000, almost 66,000 people, are really excited about reinvigorating this real estate, should we be successful in our negotiations. This aerial over here is one of the most recent photos that's been taken of the real estate. Of course, the snow is all melted. But you can imagine, as we were going through the process of developing our proposal to CAMT, we were engaging with a lot of different businesses and entities and parties in the communities. And I can let you, and very confidently, say thank you to all of the employees here at the City of Loveland that have spent a great deal of time, many, many weekends and nights in preparing our successful, to this point, application to CAMT. One other thing I wanted to do, I have not included these in the press kits, but we had about 3,500 Valentines that were sent before Valentine's Day, which was the date that the application was submitted, from students in the RE2 Thompson School District, grades K through 8. I have some samples of those up here, but I wanted to read a couple to you. You would be happy to bring your family here. Please bring your business to Loveland. You won't be sorry. We love our community. Please come to Loveland because ACE would be a cool place for students to visit and learn about engineering and other kinds of jobs. Please bring your business to Loveland. You won't be sorry. So, and of course, we have mountains and wonderful artistic talent here in Loveland. So, want to thank Dr. Ron Cabrera and all of the principals of those schools, and most of all, we want to thank our young people. So, I think I'm finished. If there aren't any additional comments you'd like me to share.
I think you have done a wonderful job. We are open for questions.
Tom.
Bill, you and Betsy and John Duvall were down at camped offices yesterday. Who did you meet with, and what was talked about?
Well, we're meeting with representatives, and we're not really going to talk about names of individuals that we've met with, but they're putting a negotiating team into place, and we will be launching negotiations in the next week. Those negotiations will are more than just dotting the I's and crossing the T's on some pre-existing agreement or perfecting it. It's really negotiation of the fundamental business terms under which the property would be transferred for the ACE project, and then staking out the relationship in the future over the years between the city and CAMT.
Why do you think Loveland was chosen? There was a lot of competition among some of your neighboring cities. Why do you think Loveland was chosen? What was in your proposal?
You know, I love this question, and I was saying to some people yesterday, we get the question, why were we chosen? And it is absolutely impossible to point to any one reason. I think there were probably dozens. First of all, we start out, I think, with a very good site that is well adapted to the ACE project. The property itself here and the HP and Agilent former property has over 800,000 square feet under roof. It's been well maintained. It's in very good condition. It has over 300 acres of property, so it provides room for expansion. And so we started out with a fundamentally good piece of property to use. I think on top of that, we really have to salute the leadership of the City Council and the work product of the city staff in putting together a fundamentally sound, excellent technical proposal that was advanced. Third, we know that those valentines and letters really made an impact. occasionally in conversation we've said, people may deride this sort of community effort as being a little corny or a little cheesy, but it wasn't. There's nothing corny about it. There truly was no other community, I think, that showed its desire in the same way that this community did. I think that was a big impact, and I'm going to ask others to add to that.
Did you want to add that first?
I will. Go ahead first.
One of the things that I think has been a great benefit to our application has been the condition of the site. When you look at the age of the real estate, which, when you think of 1960 and then the 70s and the 80s, and here we are in 2011, I really think it's important that we let Agilent and their facilities management folks at Johnson Controls know that they have taken exemplary care of the real estate. And those of us and many of you that have been through the property will understand that when a building's been vacant for almost 5 years, there's a good chance that it'll be mothballed, that the systems will fall apart, that things will just not be the same way they were when manufacturing was going on. And I can tell you, if you've driven by that at night, the lights are on and it looks like somebody's home. And quite frankly, they have just, their facilities management team and Dave Wacker and Rick Walston have done an incredible job of maintaining that facility so that it could once again be a significant economic driver for Loveland and the northern Colorado region.
I'll just kind of lean over here. I think there's another big factor in my personal opinion, and that is the business community, all those existing companies that reside within our community. They made a definite outreach to the CAMT board about all of the facilities and resources that already exist within our community to make the development of this project move forward faster. And so I think that was another big piece of the puzzle that was helpful in bringing that project here.
What types of jobs should we expect?
No. Well, Betsy, it's at your end. Why don't you start and I'll finish?
Well, first of all, we want to assure everyone that these are what we call primary employment in economic development. You hear about jobs and the quality of jobs, and when we look at economic development in Loveland, we call a primary job a job where 50% of the goods or services that the company sells are importing wealth to our community. Those products and services are provided to customers outside of Larimer County. So basic foundation is primary employment. What we anticipate seeing are going concerns. These are not companies that are incubating, although there may be an incubator component within the campus, but these are companies that are proven leaders in aerospace and clean energy. So you'll see engineering, research positions, you'll also see prototype manufacturing, technology transfer positions. So it will have a major impact. There'll be jobs that are very, very similar to ones that were there originally in the last 40, 50 years.
And if I can add one thing, I know that the mayor would want to say this as well. We want to make sure that people understand that this is not simply a research and development campus. It's also a manufacturing campus. And so the jobs that will be present there will span a very wide array of skills and abilities that will be needed to work there. There will be scientific jobs, there will be engineering jobs, there will also be assembly jobs. And so I think it provides a great array of employment opportunity for the community as a whole. This is something that CAMT and NASA, I think, have been very explicit about, that this is not a pure research kind of a venture. This is to keep manufacturing in technology-related industries in North America and to make sure that we continue to have a strong position in actual manufacturing and assembly work in the United States.
Ditto. They both said it very well. It's the manufacturing piece that attracted me to this project. That manufacturing component is very, very critical to good economic development, that broad spectrum of economic development that includes the manufacturing. And that was the real component that really interested me.
And I know these jobs will come immediately, but give us an approximate timeline. When would you expect some of those manufacturing jobs to appear?
And this will be a bit of a guess, but from everything that we've been told over the time period of this whole process, we would expect to see jobs created prior to the end of this year, moving in. And we can't really project the numbers at the opening, because the other thing that people need to recognize about this is that this is not just one company moving in. This will be tens or scores of companies that may ultimately occupy the property. That has another advantage to us as a community, a great advantage over having only one company in such a facility, and that is diversity. And as the economy moves and trends go up and down, it means that we'll have greater stability because of the number of companies involved. It also means it's harder to forecast exactly when those jobs arrive.
Are you able to speak to the economic boost this will give to existing companies and businesses here in town once it opens?
Yes, I'll take a start and then allow the others. We have a lot of technology-driven enterprises in Loveland already. And a good example, let's just take the one that's right in the middle of this property, which is Agilent, which is engaged in the manufacture and development of testing instruments and devices. Agilent will most likely become a supplier to many of the companies that might locate here, because as these companies develop new products and move them into production, there is a lot of testing and measurement that occurs in that phase of the product development cycle. So you'll see, for example, that one company being able to benefit, we think, directly from the companies that are right next door. We think there are a lot of other local companies that will also act as suppliers that have product lines that are of great interest to the tenant companies that will be moving into the ACE campus.
And basically, I agree with that it's when I said one of the things that we think attracted this project here is because we have already in existence companies that are involved in some of this same kind of technology that they will expand. We've got some existing companies that do manufacturing here in this field. And so those companies as well will benefit as this project progresses and as companies are added there. So we think there's a definite economic benefit to the existing companies. And it's not just the manufacturing companies and our research and development companies, but of course all of our retail centers will benefit from this as well.
Mayor, can we have you say your name, just so we have it on the record?
Okay, yes. I'm Cecil Gutierrez.
I'll just add a little bit to what the city manager and the mayor said, but I'd like to give you some perspective on the impact of HP and Agilent jobs leaving Loveland. At the time that those jobs left Loveland, it meant about $140 million of payroll that left our community. $140 million of payroll annually. It's been almost 5 years. Okay? You can do the math. What that translates into a city and the impact on the city is that we live on sales tax. For the city, from a sales tax standpoint, from a revenue standpoint, it's about $1.3 million in sales tax revenue. And we haven't had that for 5 years. When you look at recessions and tough economic times, and you look at the cities throughout Colorado and how we've all been affected by consumer spending going down, when you take a $1.3 million hit because one company leaves your community, And now you have an opportunity to fill that same space with multiple tenants and multiple employers. It's very exciting and it's very attractive, and I think that's probably the reason that so many communities in Colorado have competed and competed very well and very aggressively for this project, because it really is about dollars and cents and about bringing high-quality jobs to your community. But if you look around the real estate there and you look around this site, you'll also see companies like Testing and Measurement Systems, very small company. They probably have 10 to 15 employees. They're right across the street. You look at DVM Technologies, again, right on the south side of Southwest 14th Street. Probably have somewhere 20, 25 employees. They're already a NASA contractor. They already do work for Ball Aerospace. So this is really their sweet spot. But we have other companies like Woodward. Woodward is a leader in clean energy. They're certainly a global business headquartered in Fort Collins, also located here in Loveland. We just see multiple ways of helping not only Loveland companies, but Windsor as well with Vestas. We see helping companies in Fort Collins that will benefit, including HP, which is still located in Fort Collins. So again, we look at the regional impact. We look at what really can happen, even to companies like Team Precision. Team Precision is located here in Loveland on Monroe Avenue. 5 guys that do tool and die work. They're machinists. They're as excited as Agilent is about this opportunity because they can do custom tool and die work for these tenants. So, I hope you all understand that it will be a major impact to our existing employers as well as those that locate on the campus.
Yes, Tom.
One of the hot topics in Loveland has been this looming deficit that we face in 2013 and beyond of $3 to $3.5 million a year. Is it safe to say that we found a solution to that little problem?
I only take the easy questions.
If only life were that simple. What we're facing as a fiscal problem is a structural deficit that begins to open up in a couple of years. And that's what the question is about. It's about a $3.5 million issue. That's a 5% problem. So it's not an enormous problem in the context of the overall budget. It's a significant one, and we are going to deal with it. This is going to help very long term. We don't anticipate that this will immediately generate sufficient revenue to the city in sales tax or property tax, immediate kinds of financial flows to fill that up. But over the long term, because we are dealing with it as an issue of financial sustainability and how we address sustainability over a period of 10 years or more, this is going to be helpful. And so it's a positive in that context, even though it doesn't deliver the solution by itself.
In your proposal that had some of the technicalities, can you kind of walk through some of those and include incentives to bring this here?
Well, I'll start again and then pass to others. The proposal that we've advanced is a solid business proposal that essentially has the city buying the property from Agilent and then transferring it to a new ownership entity, which we expect includes CAMT, but they may enlist other partners. Our purchase price from Agilent is $5.5 million. We anticipate that we will retain pieces of the property and the assets for the city's own public use. And then after that, we will sell the remaining property for the ACE project. We're looking at a basic price of $4 million. There are terms of payment. We are expecting a substantial immediate cash payment, a part of that price. We have also structured the business proposal so that it will create long-term revenue flows back to the city over a long period of time, not just the original purchase price. We are willing to do some things, certainly, to help in the development of the property. but there's not really a specific offer of incentives, if you will. We are willing to help in the creation of some structures that might assist in the long-term development of the property, such as a metro district if we need public improvements added to accommodate the development. There's the potential for an urban renewal authority, if that's appropriate, and helping to address some of the issues of the property. So we haven't pledged any particular number of dollars per job created or an incentive that's structured along those lines. I might add that I talked about some of the things that the public will gain from this purchase of the property from Agilent that go above and beyond the ACE project. One of the things is illustrated on this map over here to your left, which shows a couple of shadings of different colors on the property. The blue shading is approximately the area that we would expect to transfer for the ACE project. The light green is the area that we'll retain as public open space, of benefit to all the citizens of Loveland and the region. The open space alone in this project would be an exciting thing in and of itself, even without the economic development. And we will be able to secure over 100 acres of open space for the addition to the community's trail system, because our primary recreation trail runs along the Big Thompson River right through that area. So we'll be adding significant open space for hiking and bikes. There are ponds. We'll be able to link two existing city parks at both ends of that open space to create a great swath of public open area for the enjoyment of the whole community. We are also taking from the property water rights that we will use to add to the community's portfolio of water rights for the benefit of the entire community. There are around 128 units of Colorado Big Thompson water, which is an excellent form of water right for us to add to our community's water supply, again, for the benefit of all residents, not simply for this particular project. But those may be ancillary benefits in some way, but there are very important things in building the value of the entire community for everyone who lives here.
Are people going to be allowed to sled on HP Hill?
I think there was an answer the other day to that one, which was it was too soon to tell. And it probably is still a good answer.
Did you have something you wanted to add?
Oh, I would like to add a couple things. One of the things I want to point out is that these are all items that are up for negotiation and discussion. So as we begin the process with CAMT of having these early negotiations, and quite frankly, here's what I would liken this to. I don't know if you've ever been to a track meet. At a track meet, one of the first events is the 100-meter hurdles. We've just completed the 100-meter hurdles in our personal record time, right? The final event is usually the 300-meter hurdles. If you've ever run the 300-meter hurdles, it's probably the hardest race in track. I think we might be going into the 300-meter hurdles. So, keep in mind that really the heavy lifting begins when all the parties come together and begin to say, what does it look like when we're going to make this work? So all of these things that Bill has mentioned are also things that could be negotiated and changed over the next 90 days, which is what we anticipate it might take to get through. But we have also offered a site activation coordinator. This is a very important individual. It's a person that will act like a concierge, a liaison, a butler, to facilitate the moving in of potential tenants. And you can't imagine the difference that makes on a project when there's only one person they have to call and one person they need to deal with to deal with building permit issues and different things like that. So I think the site activation coordinator is a position that will stay in the mix, but I think it's an important one that we shouldn't undersell.
So we know who that person's going to be yet?
We do
No,
not.
we don't.
I'm sorry I was so late. I just was curious, what, if any, role will the state help or be part of this in terms of giving you all, as you get into the 300-yard hurdles here?
Well,
I mean, you're this close, you've
Yeah,
come this far. How does your team look at this
Yeah.
point? What are some of the things that are going to take? Would the
Okay,
state be part
well,
of it?
I think the
Cutting
first,
back?
I think the first thing would be to point out that this isn't an enterprise zone. That is another selling point for this piece of real estate. It actually was placed in the enterprise zone by our city council in Larimer County in the state of Colorado in July of 2006. So the timing couldn't have been better. The entire real estate was placed into the enterprise zone for the purpose of repurposing and reactivating this site as Agilent was leaving. And so that is an incredible opportunity to offer state tax credits. Thank goodness the enterprise zone credits are still available. Last year we almost lost them all. So that's one of the first roles. We anticipate that as CAMT firms up their vision and as we come together in this partnership, that the state will take a more active role. I mean, I hope people understand. At this point, it's still relatively political. I won't say anything could happen, but anything could happen. And this has had so many communities, so many in Colorado, even communities outside of the designated North Front Range region have submitted applications for this project. Even states other than Colorado, communities in other states have submitted locations. That's how important this is. So understand, at this point, really the state has to take a very, very low profile and a very level playing field approach. So it's a great question, but I think it's something that the state will engage in. But I can tell you that the state is actively involved with CAMT on two things associated with the project that aren't location specific. That is the asset mapping and the supply side mapping. So that is actually the mapping of all the companies that could be tenants. It's the mapping of all the companies that could provide shared services and shared resources. And they're also involved in helping the staff of CAMT disseminate information to companies, as well as they've established a grants program. And it's a program that helps existing companies apply for and secure small business innovation research grants, Department of Defense research grants, and that's all new. That's all just started as a result of the Space Act agreement. So the state's engaged, but it's more in a how can we help every community in Colorado role.
What's the chance that you guys will not be able to reach an agreement and they're going to go someplace else?
We always give the hard questions to the city manager.
We always anticipate that the best is going to happen. But in the end, perhaps that happens. You may know that the city has recruited developers, and those developers, 5 of whom remain in consideration, have all expressed interest in being able to buy the property and develop the property even if it is not selected for ACE. So we have previously considered a fallback strategy, but we're not going to let that fallback strategy discourage us or distract us from running our primary race, which is to successfully conclude the project for ACE.
Has there been any resistance from people who find Loveland to stay where it is? Small town flavor?
I'm going to let the mayor answer that. You see, this falls in his arena.
I said only easy questions, Bill. I think the support has been overwhelming in favor of this project coming to Loveland. You always have, there's always someone who's going to be resistant to change, but because this is such a long-term project, it is not going to have an overwhelming impact immediately. And so I think we will be able to address that in a very logical and rational way. So we've not really, the overwhelming support is there from the community.
I'll just add one more comment.
Yeah.
Related to the previous question, and I can't stress this enough, and the city manager will go, what? I think the most important thing is that this project come to Colorado. That would be the first most important thing. The second most important thing would that it be in northern Colorado. And of course the third and very, very, very most important thing would be that it come to Loveland. But because there have been other states submitting proposals, greenfield and existing sites as well, anything can happen in politics. What are the chances? Anything can come in from left field, right field. I have a lot of sports analogies today. But I think the bottom line is this will have an incredible, incredible impact on the state of Colorado, and it's imperative that all communities in Colorado continue to support it, that communities of northern Colorado continue to support it, and I guess once the site is selected, you'll see CSU and CU and UNC and our flagship universities, the School of Mines and DU, engage as well. So again, I think it's just probably one of the biggest economic development deals that's going to happen in the United States in the next 25 years. And our goal is that if we're successful in the next step with CAMTI, that it'll be here in Loveland.
And I'm going to go back to the previous question. I have to tell you that yesterday, was that yesterday?
Yes.
Yesterday morning, actually it even started Tuesday evening when the announcement came. The number of phone calls, even during the middle of the city council meeting that I was receiving, and the number of emails and the number of text messages. I don't tweet, so I didn't get any tweets, but all of those were coming in. And it continue to come in from not just from our citizens, but believe it or not, some of our elected officials within the area as well. So there is that overwhelming support in the community. Just wanted to make sure that was real clear.